Hello Connections, it's Mike here and we're on our 7th, I believe, I'll probably get all these numbers wrong, video in the Happy Manager video series. We say it's for managers and people leaders, but it's for anybody. If you want tips to be healthier and happier, this is the place to be. So, about 3 or 4 videos ago, we started diving more into the health component and we talked about 4 different pillars that contribute to good health. We've got body health, fitness, nutritional health, sleep health, and mental health. And today we're going to go a little bit deeper on sleep health and look at some tactics around improving our sleep. First of all though, how important is good sleep? Well, when I served in the military, you learn about different methods that are used to make people speak, aka torture. And of all of these things that you see on the movies, the most effective one to break somebody down is sleep deprivation. There's nothing more effective than that. So that shows you just how much it can affect you physically and mentally. There's some research from Hopkins Medical Center in the US that suggests that if you are chronically sleep deprived, getting less than 5 hours a night, you're 50% more likely to suffer from obesity. You're 33% more likely to suffer from dementia. You're 48% more likely to suffer with heart disease, which is the #1 killer in the West. And perhaps most importantly, you're 3 times more likely to catch a cold. So not getting enough sleep has some serious impacts on our long-term health. It also really drops our present cognitive function. We know there's a massive increase in car crashes for people that are sleep deprived. So it affects you in your health in the long term, it affects you in your performance in the short term at work, and it generally makes you feel either really good or really crap if you're not getting enough. So we've got to make sure that we're getting enough sleep. Why don't we get enough sleep? I don't really need to go into all the details, but I think we know historically our sleep was largely dictated by sunrise and sunfall, sunset. Today, the sunrise, sunset really doesn't mean anything. We've got bright lights in our houses, we've got mobile phones sharing bright lights into our eyes, we've got social lives that go on into late hours of the night. So it's become very easy for us to neglect our sleep. It's a new thing. So how can we improve it? How can we go about making our sleep better? Well, the best thing we can do is get into a routine where we're waking up before our alarm clock goes off, because that tells us that we're getting the amount of sleep that we need to function. How many hours sleep do we need? The average for an adult is about 7.5. So obviously it might be more or less for you, but that's the average. So that's a good number to start with. And the way to do this is to play around with your evening routine, working backwards from the time you need to wake up. So if I need to wake up at 8 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, I'm going to work backwards by 7.5 hours. I'm going to say I need to be asleep by midnight. Then I'm going to work back from there and be like, when do I need to be in bed to be falling asleep at midnight? Perhaps it takes me an hour, so I need to be in bed by 11, and I need to work my routine from there. Try and play around and find out what the amount of sleep you need is and what your evening routine needs to be to enable that. There are some other tips and tricks and hacks that we can go into, but really that's where the hard work is. Some tips to support you getting to sleep is change your bulbs in your house to low lumen light bulbs. You can get them in most of the shops now. That's the bulbs you'll see in pubs and cafes. We've got them throughout our house because they don't stimulate the brain to believe that it's been exposed to natural daylight, which makes you come back to life. So get yourself low lumen light bulbs and put them around most of the rooms in your house, especially the rooms that people go through and the ones that the rooms that you're going to sleep in. Another tip is to put your phone, put a sleep mode on your phone so that it knows not to notify you within an hour of when you're going to sleep. And you can also put a light changer on your phone. It's easy on an iPhone, you can do it on an Android as well, where it turns off the bright lights at night time and puts them down into warm lights so your phone doesn't wake you up. Finally, I don't want to overwhelm you with tips because really it all comes from working back to being able to wake up before your alarm goes off and being better in the evening. But another final tip as well is that you can figure out your chronotype, which is your unique sleep and genetics. And if you just Google power of when quiz, you can go in there and find out for free what your sleep genetics might be, which then might give you some advice on actually for you, you're going to find it easier to go to sleep earlier if you're a lion, or you're going to find it easier to go to sleep later if you're a wolf, or if you're like most of us, a bear, probably around 11 o'clock. So there's a few tips there, quite a lot of information, but what I would say is the key thing is try and find that routine where you're waking up before your alarm, then you're in a good place.